The Legend of Mr. Smiley, the Grinning Phantom of Death Road, the origin of terror. Along a desolate stretch of Smithden Road, a place infamous for its high number of unexplained accidents and disappearances, there exists a chilling legend. Mr. Smiley, the grinning phantom who preys upon travelers who venture down the road at night. The legend dates back to the early 1900s, when a man named Henry Calloway was known as the town's most peculiar resident. Henry had an unsettling obsession with smiling. He believed that a grin was the key to true happiness, even in death. He was always seen wearing a wide, unsettling smile, no matter the situation. One fateful night, Henry was involved in a horrific accident on Smithden Road. Witnesses claimed that his car swerved off the road for no apparent reason, crashing into a tree. When rescuers arrived, they found Henry's body twisted among the wreckage. But what terrified them the most was that his face was frozen in an unnatural, wide grin, his lips stretched far beyond what was humanly possible, his eyes unblinking, staring into the void. Since that night, travelers on Smithden Road have reported eerie encounters with a tall, thin figure standing by the roadside, his face barely illuminated by the dim glow of the streetlights. Those who have dared to look at him closely describe him as wearing a formal black suit, a pale, almost waxy face, and an unnaturally wide, toothy grin that never fades. Encounters with Mr. Smiley. Red Circle the driver, who didn't look away. In 1997, a truck driver named Daniel was driving through Smithden Road at around 2 a.m. when he noticed a man standing by the roadside. At first, he thought it was just a hitchhiker, but as he drove closer, something felt wrong. The man was unnaturally still, his eyes locked onto Daniel's truck. As Daniel passed him, he made the mistake of glancing at the rearview mirror. Mr. Smiley was now standing in the middle of the road, facing him, without moving an inch. The truck's headlights flickered. The air turned ice cold. And then, the figure began to move. Not by walking, but gliding, a grotesque, unnatural motion. His wide, distorted grin seemed to stretch even further, his teeth gleaming in the dim light. Daniel slammed the accelerator and didn't stop until he reached the next town. When he checked his mirror again, Mr. Smiley was gone. But something else was wrong. His reflection in the mirror was smiling back at him. Red Circle the passenger, who laughed. In 2014, a group of teenagers decided to test the legend. They drove down Smithden Road, laughing and mocking the story, daring each other to call out to Mr. Smiley. One of them, Ethan, rolled down the window and yelled, "Hey, Smiley, give us a grin." Silence. Then, from the dark woods, a voice echoed back. "You called." The car's engine died instantly. The air filled with an eerie, distorted chuckle. One of the teenagers turned on the flashlight, and there he was, Mr. Smiley, inches from the car, his teeth gleaming in the dark, his hollow eyes locked onto them. The laughter grew louder and louder until it wasn't coming from outside anymore. Ethan was the first to scream. By the time they got the car started and sped away, they swore they could still hear that horrible laughter ringing in their ears.
Ethan?
He never laughed again. The curse of Mr. Smiley. Once you see him, you can never unsee him. If you glance at him and look away, you might be safe. But if you meet his gaze in a mirror, he will follow you. If you mock him, he will answer. And if you ever find yourself alone on Smithden Road,
Do not
smile. Because if you do, you may never stop.